Level up your LA Kings experience with the new Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access. Enjoy great seats to the game along with premier dining inside the Lexus Club with all-you-can-eat food and non-alcoholic beverages. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings item and parking with your purchase. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn rewards on each purchase from the only ticket company that rewards you for buying. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings.
You're listening to an LA Kings podcast. For more episodes of this and every other Kings program, visit lakings.com/podcast.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, it's Monday morning. That means it's time to crown a King of the Week. Joining me to do that, columnist for the Sporting Tribune, Austin Stanovich. How are you doing today, Austin?
I'm doing fantastic, Jesse. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. It's a 4-game week, but it's a 1-1-2 week. This week covers the overtime loss to the Penguins, the win against the Philadelphia Flyers, the overtime loss to the Nashville Predators, and the regulation loss to the Washington Capitals. Before we dive into the King of the Week stuff, I do kind of want to talk about the overtime record because, you know, I've said this on Kings Talk before. I think it might have been brought up on All the Kings Men. They don't play 3-on-3 overtimes in the playoffs, and there is no shootout. So I'm not personally that distressed about the team's record in overtime if we get later into the season and you can see, oh no, it really would be helpful to have those points. Then I might start getting distressed. But for right now, in late December, I'm finding it hard to be too agitated about the team's record in overtime, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 0-5.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head that it's not going to matter come playoff time. That's kind of all that matters to this Kings team at this point, and they're statistically one of, if not the best teams at 5-on-5, and in the playoffs, if they get an OT, it's going to be 5-on-5, so they should be fine, right?
You'd think.
Is it unfair to say that 3-on-3 overtime and shootouts are gimmicky, so I don't care about them?
Well, I saw somebody saying online, like, I can't remember which platform, but somebody was saying, don't they practice 3-on-3? And we kind of went over this last year with Todd McClellan. The answer is no, not really.
No.
Because you never know when it's going to happen. And a 3-on-3 against the Anaheim Ducks is totally different from a 3-on-3 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, I don't know. What exactly would you practice? Hey, you're only practicing against yourself. So what are Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe going to go out and practice against Sammy Helenius and Akil Thomas? Like, it's not really, I don't know. It just, it's like you said, it's a gimmick. It's a coin toss. It hasn't been going our way this year, but I'm not, I don't know. I'm just not that worried about it. Maybe
I mean, no, I was gonna say maybe there's a little something to, like, this team is very clearly built to be very dominant 5-on-5, and when that gets thrown into a wrench, they haven't been as good. So there's maybe something in that, but you don't want to overanalyze across all they're 0-5. It's got to be at the maximum of 25 minutes of hockey, and they haven't even played that much of it. So how much are we really going to, like, I know that you like making sure people know about sample sizes. As a sample size, it is essentially nothing. So how much do you like, you don't want to, again, overanalyze that small of a sample size either.
Well, and there's all sorts of weird, somebody took umbrage with Jim Hiller earlier this year that Alex Laferriere didn't start an overtime period when he had 2 goals to that point in the game. And it's like, well, I think the response back was, well, has Alex Laferriere ever even played 3-on-3 overtime? And the answer was no. And it's like, well, okay, like, yeah, maybe in a perfect world that's what you do, but I don't know. I'm much more fascinated by the fact that the team's power play record at home is 24.2%, and on the road it's something like 9.3, or maybe after today it's closer to 10. I'm not sure, but it's not great. That I'm much more fascinated by. I asked somebody whose opinion I value very highly what their thought on it was, and they suggested that the power play's never been good, but because they've played about 2-1 games on the road versus at home, it might just be explained by random distribution of they've been on the road more than they've been at home. So they've had more chances to be bad on the road than they have at home. I don't know. I'd have to look into that as well. But
That's a way smarter answer than I was going to give. I was going to say I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
yeah, well,
It
that
doesn't
was
make
my
sense.
that was my response. Was like, I don't know. And that was just like I don't know if that was a knee jerk reaction or if the person had actually thought about it, but it was enough to shut me up. All right, so let's get into King of the Week. Then you know the routine, you know the drill. We'll start with
Yep.
you. Your honorable mention.
Yeah, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Alex Laferriere. Obviously, this has been a fantastic season for Alex Laferriere. I mean, he's been one of the Kings' best forwards all year. That definitely continued this last week. And I typically am someone who doesn't like when a player has a really good start or a breakout season defaulting to, oh, he's just got more confidence. That's what's been the difference. I think it's a lot of the times kind of just lazy analysis of a player. However, this is a case where I think it is very accurate to say this guy is playing with so much more confidence, and you're seeing a significant improvement, not just based on that, but like it is very clear that the increased confidence he has made him a much better player. You look at that pass he has a Kevin Fiala in Philly at the end of the game. He's not even trying that last season. It's those
That's
little
fair.
things you see there. And a clutch goal against Nashville. He's scoring a lot. He's one of the highest scoring 5-on-5 players in hockey. He does it again in that game, in a game where they needed some depth scoring. We're getting to a point where what more do you say about the guy? And he had another great week, as he just seems to continue to do this season. So I'll give him an honorable mention.
I think all of that is fair. He had a goal and 2 assists in the 4 games. He was a 0 on the plus minus, but averaging 18 minutes, 19 seconds of ice time. And he played a little bit of center, not a ton.
Yeah. I
but
almost forgot about that. He did.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think enough good things can be said about him. He has having an excellent season, but I went ahead and went with Mikey Anderson this week. No points in the 4 games, but a +3, and in 4 games at all strengths was on the ice for 1 goal against. And for a team that is undoubtedly getting it done with defense, he's playing a ton of minutes. He's playing a ton of situations. And, we've spent a lot of time, or I've spent a lot of time, I guess, as various different guests for every King of the Week, sort of pecking and scratching and going like, well, which 3-point week should, blah, blah, blah. And then we overlook these guys who are just showing up and putting in yeoman's effort on the defensive side of the ice. So my honorable mention goes to Mikey Anderson, who similarly to Alex Laferriere, it'd be really simple to say, oh, well, he's playing with more confidence and whatever. But with Drew Doughty out of the lineup, he has to accept this larger role, and he has played it well. So that's my honorable mention is Mikey Anderson.
Yeah, you will never find me taking issue with Mike Anderson getting plotted. I think he is. I talked to Zach Julia before they went this road trip and wrote an article about it. Like, he's got to be the most underrated defenseman in the league now.
Yeah.
He is so good. He plays against the opposition's best players every single night, whether he's got Drew Doughty next to him or not. He shuts them down, and it just can't go overlooked how good that guy is.
Yeah, he's having a really nice season. So that was my pick. Your runner-up then.
My runner-up is going to be Quentin Byfield. It is
interesting.
Not been the season everyone hoped for Quentin Byfield. I don't think we, need to sugarcoat that. I think that's well known and documented at this point. And I'm taking a page out of your book on this one, because the real reason he's in there is because there's been a lot of plays in the last week where I've just gone, hey, that's a good play from Quentin. And he got a couple goals. I think that goal against Nashville was also a goal. I don't know if we've seen Quentin Byfield score a goal like that. The puck comes to his feet. He kicks it up to his stick, doesn't hesitate, doesn't try and stick handle, and just fires the puck in the back of the net, which we need, he needs to do a lot more of. And really, up to this point in his career, again, I can't think of a goal he scored like that where there was no hesitation, there was no thought behind. Like, he just ripped the puck as soon as it got to his stick, which is really nice to see. And he's definitely improved. This is the best stretch of games I think I've seen from him so far this season. And again, there's just been a lot of plays where I've said, that was a nice play from Quentin Byfield. He's had stretches of games. I think that Nashville game was by far his best game, in a game where that top line wasn't as good as it has been recently. They needed someone else to step up. And to me, the guy that stepped up and really took control of that game for LA was Quentin Byfield. So that's kind of my thought process on that one.
I like that one. I wish he had gotten a point today because he did get
Yeah,
2 points against the Rangers, but unfortunately
yeah,
that's last week. But
yeah,
in that 4 game stretch, he had, or yeah, 4 games. He had 4 points in 4 games.
yeah.
He didn't pick up any points against Pittsburgh, but you're right. The more you pay attention to his game, the more you're finding yourself going, "Oh, nice play! Oh, nice play! Oh,
Hmm.
nice play!" You're right though. He was not having the kind of season that I think we expected him to, but for whatever reason, that Jeannot, Byfield, Fogel line does seem now to be clicking,
Hmm.
and we don't know why Phil Deneau was out against Washington today, but when Deneau, Laferriere, and Fiala are clicking, and when Byfield, Jeannot, and Fogel
Hmm.
are clicking, then you actually have 3 lines,
Yeah.
and you do whatever you can with the fourth line, but 3 lines and 2 defensive pairs should be enough to make you a competitive team. I am going the semi-predictable, semi-non-creative route for my runner-up, and I'm just going with Anze Kopitar
Yeah. Yeah.
because I just can't ignore. Like, he's just having a ridiculous season given his. I mean, it sounds cruel to say given his age, but I mean, somebody, I think it was Blake Ware, pointed out that like the number of forwards that have had this many assists at this point in their 37-year-old career, and it's a short list, and he's getting it done. And there are some games, like today, and I think was it against the Pittsburgh
Hmm.
game where his line kind of got caved in a little bit, and you just go, all right, well, cut the guy some slack. They're not finding a consistent line mate for them. Here it is: most assists in a team's first 32 games by a player in their age 37 or older season. Mario Lemieux, Martin St. Louis, Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, Dave Keon, Anze Kopitar. All 5 guys ahead of him on that list are in the Hall of Fame. So
It's pretty good company.
yeah,
It's
so
gonna
there
be
you go.
sick soon.
Yeah, exactly. And like, come on, Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe is 3 of the
Yeah, have you heard
5.
of him?
Yeah, Martin St. Louis, everybody's heard of, and Dave Keon, I don't know, doesn't immediately leap to mind, but listen, he's in the Hall of Fame, so somebody's heard of him.
Yeah.
I just say that to point out, like, it's not when like Brant Clark sets some sort of record in the OHL, and you go, oh, the last 12 guys to do it, and you go like, well, I've heard of 5 of them, and the other 7,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, listen, Anze Kopitar is preposterous, and it's rough on a day like today where no points come and he gets beat in the face-off dot, but you're like, listen, it's 3 games in 4 nights, it's 7th
Yeah.
game on a 7-game road trip. He still wound up with 3 points this past week, 2 goals and an assist and a +1, and if I'm not mistaken, still hasn't taken a penalty minute.
Yeah. It's
Like, we're now
preposterous is the
34
right word
games
for this
into the
guy.
season. Like, it's just ridiculous. He's really, really good. It's going to be really, really hard to replace him, and we're all going to be really, really sad when that chapter is finally written. All right, your king of the week then, Austin.
My king of the week, I'm going to go with you. You mentioned they've struggled to find a line mate for that line. I'm going with the line mate for that line this week in Alex Turcotte.
Okay.
I have been so impressed with his play. He had, I think he only ended up with 2 points. He had a kind of rough game today against Washington. He had the stick break and goes the
Mhm.
other way. But like you said, third game in 4 days into the really long road trip. I've just been so impressed with how he's fit on that line. And I think that there's been we did it with Quinn Byfield last year, and I say we because I fall guilty of it sometimes, where you talk about such a great compliment for that top line. He compliments Kopitar and Kempe well, and it's true, but you also don't want to fall into the trap of treating Alex Turcotte like the little brother on that line, trying not to get in the way. Like, he has been making plays and improving that line. The goal against Pittsburgh was excellent from him. The assist he has to Kopitar in Philly is fantastic. Like, again, a guy like Byfield, where every time I watch him, I go constantly, that was a great play by Alex Turcotte. And it's not just in the offensive zone; it's in the defensive zone. It's on breakouts. It's those little things. He has that. I always say he's a guy that you can tell grew up in not just a coaching family, but like one of the most famous coaching families in America. Like, he just, everything he does is so purposeful. It's so intelligent. He's always staying above the puck. He never gets caught out of position. Like, it's just those little things that I think do bounce off a guy like Anze Kopitar so well. And then he has the speed and the skill to keep up with those 2 guys. I just think he's been so impressive. And I really think that guy needs to be given a lot more credit just for how well he's played this season. And especially once he's gotten that opportunity is now producing. Because as much as coaches like to say those little things are what really matters, the guys that play the most and get the most money and everything are the guys that produce. So to see him now add that to his game as well is, I think, is so huge for this team and for him.
I think he's another player that is aided by scoring depth showing up. So if the
Yeah,
Byfield line is threatening, if the Deneau Laferriere line is threatening, all of a sudden maybe you don't have the biggest, meanest players showing up exclusively against that line with Alex Turcotte, which
yeah,
theoretically should give him more room to maneuver. It should make him have to, not spend as much time with his head on a swivel,
yeah,
trying to make sure that he doesn't get obliterated along the boards. Tough week for that. The scoring sort of showed up in bunches on this trip.
yeah.
There was either a ton of it or not enough of it. But yeah, he can definitely contribute to the scoring. I think that's a good pick. My pick for King of the Week, and therefore the correct pick for King of the Week, is Mikey Anderson's defensive partner,
Mm-hmm.
Vladislav Gavrikov. He had 5 assists this week. He led the team in scoring, 5 points in 4 games. He was a +2. 7 shots on goal, playing 24 minutes, 22 seconds of ice time, averaging, I should say, 24 minutes, 22 seconds, which was first. Mikey Anderson was second with 23 minutes, 57 seconds. And just like Mikey Anderson just had to play Mikey Anderson's game.
Yeah.
Gavrikov's the one who's had to switch sides. He's the one who's had to adopt more responsibility. He's the one who's playing up a pair. He's the one who lost his regular partner in Matt Roy. And I have to admit, when Drew Doughty went down, it was like a big question of like, well, what are they going to do now? Is it going to be Anderson and Clark? Is it going to be Anderson and Spence? Are they going to do Anderson and Burrows and do some sort of like 75% efficiency shutdown line? I got to tell you, Gavrikov stepping up into that spot was not on my list of possibilities.
No.
And that pair has really gotten it done. And we heard Gavrikov's name a million times on the telecast today against the Capitals, talking about his stick and his reach and his length. And there were a number of plays where Washington was going to cross the blue line. And he's got such a fascinating active stick preventing players against the blue line. It's not like he does a really exaggerated, obvious poke check.
Yeah.
He makes a subtle move, and yet the puck goes flying the opposite direction. And on top of that, contributing offensively, like I said, with 5 assists. So congratulations, Vladislav Gavrikov, this week's King of the Week. Sorry, Rob, no sound effects. Ever wonder what top athletes eat to perform at their best? Superfood Direct, the preferred catering partner of the LA Kings, is here to fuel your game. For athletes, nutrition isn't just fuel, it's the key to peak performance. Superfood Direct delivers chef-prepared meals that help you build strength, boost endurance, and recover faster. With over 11 years of experience, every meal is balanced with the perfect mix of proteins, carbs, and healthy fats to power you on and off the ice. Ready to fuel your greatness? Visit superfd.com/direct and get 20% off your first order with promo code LA20. That's LA20.
I love that pick, and I think that he's been such a surprising guy for me because, like you said, no one expected him to move up into that top role.
Yeah.
Not only that, when he has done that in the past, it has not gone well. That season he came over from Columbus, he was playing top air minutes there and was getting caved in. He did not do well. Mikey Anderson got hurt at one point, 2 seasons ago? They moved Gavrikov up with Doughty. It did not go well. He at all points in his career, it seemed like he can't handle that responsibility. They give it to him here, and he just like he's been maybe their best defenseman. Like he has made, you can't replace Drew Doughty, but he has softened that blow in a way that I don't think anyone saw coming, especially from that guy. It's so impressive for him to do.
Here's how much he softened it. There are people regularly texting me or sending me DMs on various social media platforms asking me if the solution isn't to move Drew Doughty, which is like insane.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, listen, this has worked for 34 games. I like the team. I like where they're going, but let's not get crazy. Like, that's not the solution. But people are so fond of how the team is playing. And to be clear, a lot of that is team wide, right? It's not just the defenseman. It's the
100%.
And I wish that I had a sharper strategical mind when it came to hockey tactics, because I don't know how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I watch the play and I'm going like, well, the other team is that it's not that they're taking scoring chances. It's that there are opportunities that I see.
Mm-hmm.
They don't necessarily, they being the multitude of opponents.
Yeah.
they don't always capitalize. They don't even necessarily get a chance to take the opportunity, but I see opportunities. So it doesn't feel to me like the team is dominant defensively. And then you look at the numbers and you go, oh gosh, they are actually dominant defensively.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it.
I've been really their ability to take away time and space from the opposition has been really impressive this season. Like they always talk about how hard it is in the NHL to, half a second's all you're getting on the puck. I mean, they are on top of teams so quickly. They're so aggressive. They make it almost impossible to generate offense against them. And there's a downside of that. Like even on this trip, we've seen a lot of the goals that do end up going in are like grade A chances where the guy's all alone in front because if a coverage does get blown, a guy's going to be wide open. But
Sure.
they've been so good about just, again, taking away that time and space and suffocating teams is probably the best way to describe it. That's, to my eye, that's what's been the most impressive thing is they've just been suffocating.
I've become obsessed with this set of numbers, and I started tracking it a couple games ago. When they score 3 goals or more, 17, 0, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
When they score 2 or fewer, 2, 10, and 3. That to me says they're holding their opponents to 2 goals, basically.
Yeah.
And like at home, they're holding them to less than 2 goals. And I get it. They've played fewer home games than they have road games. But that there was a play tonight where Mikey Anderson stretched out on his belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah, it was.
From making a pass. And you're just like, okay, that's a play that ordinarily I would only ever see Drew Doughty attempt. Never mind pull off. But
execute,
attempt.
Yeah.
I see somebody do that play once every 3 games now. And I don't, like I said, I don't know what it is. I've seen Gavrikov block shots in ways that it would never have occurred to me previously to block a shot. Active sticks on pucks, Warren Fogle, Quentin Byfield killing penalties. Like they are getting it done. And the goalies don't even have to be good. And I mean, if you go back and look at, I think it was like David Riddick's numbers and you look back on it, yeah, he's got 3 or 4 rough nights. Yeah. But every other game, he's allowing 1 goal.
Yeah.
It's just when he does get lit up, he gets lit up like a Christmas tree.
There's been a couple rough games. Yeah. They're also, we've talked a lot in the media to the goalies about playing in front of this Kings team. They typically do a really good job of letting their goalies see pucks and eliminating second opportunities. And for the majority of NHL goalies, if you let them see the puck and don't let them have to fight off second or third chances, you're going to get good results. I mean, it's why going back to last year and Cam Talbot came in, played so well, had this bounce back season. Again, he saw a lot of pucks. He didn't have to try and fight off second and third chances. If you do that in the NHL, you're probably going to find a lot of success, and that's what the Kings are doing.
What I'm most impressed by is the play where a goalie will give up a rebound. It'll land within 6 inches of a Kings player. Yeah. Despite the fact that he's surrounded by 3 or 4 opponents, the Kings player always seems to be moving in slow motion compared to the attackers. They will stop, corral the puck, and make a simple 5-foot pass.
Yeah.
Out of the middle of the Hornets' nest. And the Hornets' nest never seems to slow down or get its head on straight to take advantage of the fact that it's just, it's just Joel Edmondson standing there by himself or whoever it is that happens to be there to get the rebound. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it, but they are. I do want to take a look ahead at next week. There's only 2 games really on the schedule because everybody's got break for Christmas.
Yeah.
But the first game is the one that I think is actually the biggest test so far of the season. And that is, it's a 1:00 game, Saturday the 28th against Edmonton, because both games will be coming off of their break. Both games will have had 5 days off. And, the Kings lost to Washington. Edmonton beat Ottawa today, the day that we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that Edmonton has passed the Kings for second place in the Pacific Division. That's 2 years in a row now where everybody was like, oh, well, ho-hum, Edmonton is dead. Well, no, they're not. Turns out, no, they're not.
No, the rumors of their death were greatly exaggerated.
Yeah. And, I don't know what's going on with Vancouver, but Vancouver and Calgary are currently behind the Kings, each with 39 points. So not exactly breathing down their necks, but not out of the, but not so far in the back that you don't have to worry about them. nobody wants Edmonton in the first round again. And if they do get Edmonton in the first round, nobody wants Edmonton to have home ice advantage.
Yep.
I'm done with that story. I'm sure that Zach and Nick and Jim and the whole traveling team are tired of spending time in Edmonton. So, that means passing Edmonton. And like I said, that game on the 28th at 1 o'clock, it's a 1 o'clock game. Everybody should be there. I don't think anyone, well, I don't say anyone, but lots of people will have the opportunity to be there. No school or work for a lot of people. And that'll be, both teams have played 34 games. Edmonton has 21 wins. The Kings have 19, but the LA Kings wins, 19 of them have come in regulation. Edmonton has 7 wins in overtime. So
I think the fascinating thing about this game, we have talked to players who time and time again say this Oilers team is their biggest rival. The Kings do not like the Oilers. The Oilers do not like the Kings. Those games get chippy. And now the Kings have gone out and built a team. You like to use the word truculent. They have built a more truculent team, a team that is going to theoretically be able to stand up to the more physical teams and be kind of more in your face. That is the part of that battle that's going to fascinate me the most, because that's really the only thing that's changed between these two teams is the Kings are a bigger, theoretically meaner team, and how that plays itself out. Does that, I know that Rob Blake and Luke Robitaille like to say they're not making moves just with Edmonton Oilers in mind. However, you are definitely making moves for the team that's beaten you 3 years in a row. Like you're definitely have them in the back of your mind. And I think that how those additions and that added element to this team impacts this matchup against the Oilers is going to be fascinating.
There's also the fact that, last year about this time-ish is when the Kings started slumping.
Yeah.
And a lot of people pointed to the start of this road trip, and it was like, oh, the New York stretch, the Islanders game last year and then the Rangers game. I always kind of thought that was nonsense because as far as I'm concerned, you could see the cracks before those losses. I didn't see any crack. I saw the opposite of cracks this time around. I saw them going into these games sort of getting stronger and finding their identity. And I think that's only, been strengthened on this road trip. They didn't have a great road trip, 3-2-2, but they're still, and I've said this now a couple times, they're still winning the way that they're built to win.
Right.
Rather than, some sort of magical formula that never really quite crystallizes. It's really simple, right? They play defense, they limit opponents, and that's how they're going to win. And they're doing it. So I don't see them falling apart and getting away from that. The question is just, can they keep producing, can Anze Kopitar at 37 keep producing offense the way he is? Can Fiala start producing offensive, numbers more consistently? Can Byfield start contributing more consistently? Can Laferriere keep it up? Because, I read those numbers. If they're not going to score more than 2 goals, chances are they're not going to win a ton. And Edmonton's a really perfect test. Can you limit Edmonton's offense, and can you score against them? Because that's, I imagine it'll be a playoff atmosphere. So it'll be late December. So not exactly a playoff test, but about as close as we'll be getting to this point in the season.
Yeah, and it's strength against strength. Edmonton's got one of the highest powered offenses. You've got one of the best defenses in the league. It's always fun to watch. And like you said, this is how these teams are built. This is how we're going to see, like, not necessarily which one's better, but like it's going to be a movable rock and whatever the saying is. I can't think of it. A movable object in a hard place.
The irresistible force. Edmonton scoring 3.27 goals a game, 9th in the league, and the Kings allowing 2.56, the third best in the league. So it's like you said, it's pure offense versus pure defense.
And the boring thing is that there's a good chance it's just going to be the special teams story again, and no one wants to write that story again.
Well, I don't want to watch it again, frankly. If it's all the
no
same, I'd rather not. I'd rather not watch the Kings penalty kill get victimized at 50% while not scoring a single power play goal. I'd be perfectly happy to never see that again. And then the second game of the coming week is a Sunday afternoon game against the Philadelphia Flyers again at home. The Kings come off of their break with back-to-back games, which, that's tough, but
Yeah,
Philly,
bit of a
no
bummer.
doubt, Philly will no doubt be looking for revenge after the Kings sort of waxed them in that third period. But another nice test because back-to-back games after a 5-day break, hopefully there won't be, I don't know what the opposite of a bubble game is, where you play the first game that's really important and the second game is a blow-off game.
Yeah.
I hope there won't be that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this team has got enough. It's cliche. They got enough veteran leadership. I don't think they fall asleep in a game, and they're so good at home. It's kind of hard for me to believe that they would not phone it in against Philly, but have that kind of.
They don't seem like that kind of team.
No, I mean they've made. I mean, they've been so good in the last couple of years. I don't like to call anyone a bad team, but they've made short work of the teams that sit near the bottom of the league and kind of the rebuilding teams recently. Yeah, they've like I know fans of every team like to. Oh, my favorite team plays down to their opposition. It's confirmation bias. The Kings have pounded the bottom teams in this league, and I don't see a reason why that's going to change anytime soon. Of course, now they're going to get smoked by Philly after I said this and make me look like an idiot. But
once you say it out loud, no, for sure. And obviously there'll be some curiosity as to which goaltender gets which game. I imagine, oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Darcy Kemper will get the first game against Edmonton, but remains to be seen. And hopefully, I mean, who knows, right? The Kings could have Moore and Deneau back. They could have both of them not available. Unclear.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah,
differentiator, especially in that game against Edmonton, where you would definitely want Phil Deneau matching up against one of the two big guys over in Edmonton.
Yeah, well, and there's just another question for that Edmonton game. If things start to go south for Edmonton, do they load up the top line? Do they care enough about 2 points at the end of December to protect second place ranking against the team right behind them in third? Or do they just kind of say, you know what, we've got more than 40 games left on the slate and we can figure it out? Because, man, I thought they were gone this time. I didn't say it out loud, but there was a little part of me that was like, finally, enough of the Edmonton Oilers. No, there they are. There they are. They're never going away. That's never going to happen. Anyway, before I let you go, Austin, I'm springing this on you with no advance warning.
Okay.
Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday, right? Wednesday's Christmas. Sorry,
it is. Yeah.
I don't celebrate, so I don't know. If you could give a Christmas present to one member of the LA Kings, what would you give?
Oh, geez. So I'm gifting a present
or the entire team, however you'd like to do it.
The entire team is an easy one. It's obviously the return of Drew Doughty. That's their Christmas present.
Okay.
The individual one, thinking about how mean I want to go with this one, because the first thing that popped in my head. Well, it's not mean. It's not mean, but the first thing that popped in my head was removing that terrible lion tattoo that Adrian Kempe has. Just knock it off for him.
Oh, that is mean.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I don't know.
I like that tattoo.
If I had to give, oh man, it would probably something to Jacob Moverara, because he seems like the nicest human being ever. I would probably try and find something that he liked. I don't know.
How about a permanent spot in the lineup?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. For the team, I would like to gift them a power play that can score on the road.
There you go.
And I will say for Anze Kopitar, I would give him a permanent left wing to play along with him and Adrian Kempe, whoever it is.
Anze Kopitar doesn't need more stuff.
Even if it's Alex Turcotte, and to Jacob Moverare, whatever his adorable heart wishes, because he is the nicest man in the Kings organization at this moment. So, all right, Austin, thank you so much for joining me. And
anytime.
And I'm going to title this episode a name that I've had floating around in my head for a week or so now, and I haven't found the right way to do it, which is All I Want for Christmas is Juice.
Oh, there you go. That's a good
So
one. That's
there you go.
creative. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm honored to be a part of that great name.
If I were a younger, more energized person, I would have sat down and written out ridiculous parody lyrics to go along with it. But yeah, there you go. All I want for Christmas is juice. So, Merry Christmas, Kings fans. Thank you, Austin, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jess.